Hello, everyone. This is Roy Barker with episode 3 of the Senior Living Sales and Marketing Podcast. Today, we are fortunate enough to have Ken Tucker, the founder of Chainscape Web, which specializes in search engine optimization, website design, reputation management, social media marketing, lead generation, and marketing automation. Ken is a StoryBrand certified guide, a master Duct marketing certified consultant, and an inbound marketing certified professional, and an SEO for growth consultant. Ken is the author of Social Media Marketing for Restaurants and co-author of Reputation Management. Ken created and taught one of the first college credit social media marketing classes in the U.S. at St. Charles Community College. He has taught a course on content management systems and serves as a co-chair of the St. Charles County Chamber of Commerce Technology Committee. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Roy. I'm glad to be here.
Appreciate you taking time out of your day. There's so many great subjects that you're an expert in. I would love to talk about, and I think we're probably going to have to end up having you come back again to address some of these, because the two that have been on my mind this last week that I really think that you can speak to are going to be the reputation management portion and the local search engine optimization. Of course, as you know, in the senior living industry, reputation is everything because we take care of people's loved ones. And so somebody getting a bad review or bad word of mouth going around can be very detrimental to the stream of prospects coming in. And then also, some of our markets are getting more and more crowded and are getting more and more noisy. And so making sure that we can tune in on the local search engine optimization is going to be key to growing occupancies for our industry going forward. So having said all that,
absolutely.
let's start out with the reputation management piece. We talked a little before the show, and I guess I see this as becoming more critical. That back in the olden days of the internet, when reviews were created and all these different services out there like Yelp that had reviews, it seemed that my opinion was to help the next consumer, whether I liked it or not, maybe talk about the good points, the bad points. But if I went out and had a one-off bad experience at a place, I probably wouldn't take the time to come home and write them a really bad review. But I feel like as we've progressed that reviews have become a lot more punitive, and maybe I was having a bad day, maybe the company that I was at, whether it's a service or a product, maybe they were having a bad day. We just didn't gel. And so now I rush home to write a bad review. Or even worse, I've heard cases of businesses that have actually been held hostage by customers saying, if I don't get more than what we bargained for, then I'm going to leave you a bad review. And some businesses are so dependent upon these that they end up having to give in and meet their needs to get a good review, or at least not get a bad review. So kind of what are you seeing out there, and what is your take on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, everything you mentioned is certainly a possibility, and it's a real shame, that people are being very punitive about things. Look, everybody's going to have a bad experience from time to time, and everybody's going to deliver less than stellar service from time to time. It's the reality of things. I think one of the important things that we see is, first of all, you've got to be monitoring the reviews that are coming in about your business. And if there are no reviews about your business, that's a strong indicator as well, because you're allowing somebody to fill in the void with what they think their perception is. And the reality is, if there are no reviews and your competitors have strong reviews, they're going to assume that nobody cares enough about your business to write a review about your business. So we strongly recommend businesses take control over their own reputation management, and doing that through what we call building a review funnel. So a review funnel is certainly going to give you monitoring capability to see what people are saying, but it's going to give you a place to drive people to write a review, and also have the ability that, if somebody comes in, like you said yesterday, they could have been one of your greatest champions, and today they had a bad day or a bad experience, or something happened with the care that is maybe more complex, that you need to have a conversation with them, but they immediately look, it's emotional, right? So they feel like they need to go out and do something.
Right.
So when they go to this review page, if they give you, three, or the way we set it up frequently is on a five-star rating system. If they give you 3 stars or less, they actually are going to get a pop-up window that comes up, and it's actually a request for feedback to say, we're sorry you didn't have a great experience. What can we do to help? And that's going to be an email that's going to be sent to the business so that they can address that concern. They're not going to be taken to a review property, such as Yelp or your Google My Business page or Facebook. If they give you a 4 or 5 star rating, then it's going to take them to those review sites that you deem are important for your business, for people to go write reviews, and they can be healthcare specific or they can be general directories. And then people can go through, but you already have a pretty good idea. I kind of refer to it as a review gate, where somebody is going to click on, that based on the number of stars they're going to give you, they're going to be taken to a pop-up that then has, okay, here's my Google link, here's my Facebook link, here's my Yelp link, here's my Health Graders link, or whatever is appropriate, and then they can go from there. That way, you're kind of intercepting those experiences where people need to vent before they're actually going to go out there and write a review. Now, there's absolutely nothing you can do if people go directly to your Google My Business page or your Yelp page and they go write that review. What in that case, but if you do take control over the process and you drive people to this review page, you're going to have a little bit more control.
Okay.
So that's one thing.
Okay.
I guess the other thing is, when somebody does go out there and write a less than stellar review about your business, we always recommend that you respond to those reviews, but be really careful about that. Actually, when you look at, what Google is wanting to see right now is it wants to see response to every single review that's out there, and whether it's positive or negative. If it's negative, what we recommend a business do is they go out and they say, again, we're sorry you didn't have a great situation. Your feedback is important to us. Let's talk about this, and then take it offline and give them either a customer service phone number or a customer service email address, and then take the rest of that conversation off the line.
Okay.
When you do that, you might have the ability to talk things through. You're not going to be in this nasty back and forth situation where everybody's going to see everything going back and forth online. Some of that may happen, right? So, but take it offline, and then some of those customers might be willing to go back in if you explain the situation, if you address their concerns, and maybe they're going to change their 3-star rating to a 5-star rating, and maybe they're even going to say, I was really frustrated at first, but these guys worked with me. They helped me understand the situation. They took care of my needs and my family's needs, and all is good.
Right.
And so you can turn a less than stellar situation into actually a positive customer experience.
Yeah, because I think
customer service opportunity.
I think a lot of times I think you hit on the point. A lot of times they just want to be heard, and if I have a bad experience, and while I'm at the store or restaurant, if I try to address the manager and I don't feel like that they were paying attention or that they really cared what I was saying, then I think that's when people go home frustrated, and really all they want to be is heard. If they could be heard and addressed, then that goes a very long way in solving the issue. But
yeah.
As far as on a company website, you have a lot of control over seeing reviews that people write and that message and being able to address them easy. I guess the tricky part to this is there are so many other places that people can go say something uh, derogatory about you or your business. Is there a compilation where you can find all of these at once? Do you just Google your business name and hope that it comes up, or are there like a registry of review sites that you can look at to know where to go exactly look for this?
Yeah, there are a couple of things. So first of all, if you just let reviews happen, they are going to skew toward the negative. It's just human nature. When we have a bad experience, we feel like we've got to go on a mission and protect other people, right? So, it seems like it motivates us more. And study after study after study shows that if you just let your consumers or your customers write reviews as they are having their experiences, they're going to skew to the negative. So that's another reason why we really recommend a business take control over their reviews and go out and ask happy, satisfied customers to go write reviews. They'll write a review for you, but you need to ask them, and you need to develop a process and a system to make it super easy for that to happen. Right. So that's certainly one component. There are some management tools that are out there that will allow you to monitor what people are saying about your business online. For one, I would recommend setting up, a Twitter monitoring system, using a tool like Hootsuite for @mentions or conversations about, either by brand name or by, your business name, or even important caretakers' names. And you can do that in a tool like Hootsuite very effectively and monitor like Twitter conversations.
Okay.
But in terms of specific reviews, there are review monitoring systems that are out there as well, and some of those are going to monitor all review systems that you want to sign up for. In other cases, and this is kind of where reputation kind of merges into a little bit more local SEO flavor. There are all these directories that your business gets listed on, and some of these directories also allow people to write a review. As an example, City Search is a directory that your business may be listed on, even though you never actually go out there and create it. City Search is going to build a listing of all of the local businesses that it can find through whatever algorithm it's pulling from, whether it's pulling from the Secretary of State office, which in Missouri, where I'm based, that's where businesses are listed. When we create our companies and we establish our businesses, the Missouri Secretary of State's office lists us there. City Search might pull from there. It might pull from Google or Bing search results. It might pull from other directory systems that are out there. And so it's going to have a record of your business. And if somebody does a Google search and they find your name, they might find the City Search listing, and that's where they may go write that review. So if you have a directory management system in place, then it is going to notify you every time somebody goes and writes a review on any of these general directories that are out there, like a City Search.
Okay.
Now, if you're in the healthcare specific industry, there are healthcare add-ons that you can buy that will monitor, the reviews that people are doing on the healthcare specific directories. And also there are just review monitoring tools specifically that will look for those as well.
Okay. Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the old adage, and this was been many years ago, but the saying used to be that a happy customer told one of their friends, where a dissatisfied customer told 8 of their friends. I don't know if that's still I don't know if that still holds true with those numbers, but it's typically right. It's harder to get happy customers feel like that they were supposed to be happy, and so that it's really, unless they have an over-the-top experience, they don't really reach out and try to put that message out there, where if you have a bad experience, it seems like nowadays everybody wants to let everybody know that.
That's correct. But if you ask people who are happy customers, and you make it really easy for them, you give them a review link and say, here, go to this place and write a review for me, and you tell them what the process is going to be like, they are more than happy most of the time to go do that. Now, there are certain industries, where people are going to be less willing to do so. And, I mean, if you're a certified financial planner, obviously, you can't, by regulation, you can't even ask people to go do that. But most businesses can, and they really need to, because it's online reviews right now, in combination with the quality and consistency of the way the business is listed on these online directories, is the number one factor for a local search.
Okay.
Especially online reviews, though. And so when you look at online reviews, there are a couple of different things that are really important to keep in mind. One is the overall, really probably three things. Number one is, what is your composite rating? That's certainly going to be a factor. And so if you had 10 reviews, what is your overall composite rating score? It could be 3.8 out of a 5-star rating, or it could be a 5 out of a 5-star rating, or whatever. So that composite review score is important. The total number of reviews on particular review sites is important. So if you have 5 reviews and your competitor has 25 reviews on a particular review site, that's maybe gonna tip the scale for your competitor instead of yourself. And then the third thing is what we refer to as review velocity. And this is where you're getting a constant stream of people writing reviews about your business. It may be great. Maybe 2 years ago you went out and you got 15 reviews on Yelp or your Google My Business page. Those are typically the 2 sites that are going to show in local search results most prominently. But you haven't done anything since. Google is going to see there's a point of diminishing returns if you're not continually getting that stream of reviews. So that's another reason why it's really important to develop a system of going out there and asking consistently for high quality reviews. Okay. You want to keep those reviews coming in. When you do that, especially, the number one review site in my mind, bar none, for a local business, if you're delivering care in a local market, is to create a Google My Business page. So if you haven't done that already, go to google.com/business and create that and claim your Google My Business page. That is absolutely paramount. And then once that page has been created and you claimed and you're managing that page, then you want to start to drive people to go write reviews to your Google My Business page. Now, this is the page that's going to show up on the Google Map result. So if somebody were to type in, senior care, Chesterfield, Missouri, you're going to get a Google Map result 9 times out of 10 when you type in that geographic location in combination of, a product or a solution or a service that you're looking for. And, being able to show up on that Google Map result, they're typically showing 3 results, of businesses. That is the most important real estate that any local business can probably be listed on. And so online reviews on your Google My Business page are the most important thing to be able to help make that happen.
Okay, great. And you were talking about when we're proactive and we can send our customer or our prospect a link, then once we get it and we can see that it's a 4 or 5, then we have the ability to, I guess, push that out to the Yelps and the Google My Business to help be a little preemptive. Is that correct?
Well, it doesn't work quite that way. What happens is you can send people to a page, either on your website or a third-party page. There are pros and cons for both. But you can send them to that page, a review page, and they fill out the number of stars. You can actually set that page to have a stream of reviews that have been written, and you can set the threshold to say, I only want to stream 4 or 5-star reviews back onto this page. And then people can click on the star rating, and if it's 3 stars or less, they're going to be asked to provide feedback that's going to be emailed to somebody in the business so that they can respond to that. If it's 4 or 5 stars, they're going to be presented with which review sites you want them to go write the review for.
Oh, okay.
There's no system, and honestly, Google and Yelp and all of these different review sites, they want users to be logged in. And so, if your customers don't have Yelp accounts, typically, I wouldn't drive them to Yelp, and I wouldn't drive them to Yelp anyway, because Yelp wants people to do it in a very organic way. So Yelp is the one directory system where you just kind of have to let reviews happen. You better be monitoring your Yelp reviews for sure, but you really can't take control over the Yelp process, because Yelp actually will penalize you for doing that. But most of the other directory systems that I'm aware of, in fact, all of them, you have the ability to control and drive people to go write reviews. And Google is absolutely king. So that's where I would send people first. But they're going to have to log in with a Google account to be able to write a review. And that's for authenticity purpose. Google wants to see there's a real person that is actually out there writing a review. Now, an individual can have 30 Google email addresses, and there's nothing you can do to prevent that. And they may create a bogus email address just to go write a review. There's nothing you can do to stop that or control that. But if somebody is abusing the system, there are ways to try to get Google to adjudicate the process and clean things up.
Yeah.
It's a painful, it takes a lot of time, and it's a big hassle. But sometimes you can do that, and Google will do it if the review came from an employee. Where an employee was disgruntled and they went out there and wrote something negative about your business. You can go to Google, and they will help you address that.
Okay. Yeah, I've read a lot more press recently about people beginning to fight, not the companies, but the Googles and the Yelps, trying to put policies in place to help to alleviate fake reviews or get them off, quickly before they damage somebody's business.
Yeah. And I mean, there are stories out there, and actually, I work with a web property where people reported a listing that I work with and manage, saying it wasn't a real business, and so Google took the page down, and so you have to go back and you have to prove, you're a real business entity doing business at that physical location. And you might have to provide a picture of a name on the sign that shows you're operating out of that business, and send that to Google before they'll establish your Google My Business page again and let you manage it and have it verified by Google. And we've also, I've got some marketing colleagues of mine that I know have had people where their competitors go in and write really nasty reviews about a business, and they're not real customers.
Oh, wow.
And so, but those things, while it's unfortunate and it's a drag on your overall composite rating, I think if you go through the process and you respond to those reviews and ask to take it offline, most people, they're smart enough to when they read a review, they're gonna have a pretty good idea of whether it's a bogus review or not.
Right.
And if they see that the business actively cares and they're trying to go out there and reach out there and address frustrated customers, that's going to speak volumes. And honestly, when you look at the younger people, they don't trust a business that has only 5-star reviews oftentimes, because they just don't see that as authentic. So it's not the worst thing in the world to have a 3-star review, but I think you can say a lot to the world if you go out there and address an experience that somebody had when they gave you a 3-star review and say, we want to try to make things better for you.
Right. Yeah, I think that just goes with it. There's always going to be problems in life. It's the way that you handle them is what shows the real character of the person or the business. So that makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, absolutely.
Now, as we've talked about this reputation management, it seems like it is tied a lot more closely to local search optimization than what I had thought. So can we in the senior living business, the some of these markets are getting very crowded, a lot of competitors. The one thing that I talk a lot about is that this isn't like the old days where somebody just sees a sign in the front yard and they walk in and they don't know anything about the business. Probably 80 to 90% of either prospective residents or their adult children or loved ones will go out and research the different communities. So when they walk in, they not only know a lot about you, but they also know a lot about your competitors. So how can a local brick and mortar business stand out in the local search area?
Yeah, online reviews, really are the first most important step that I think a business needs to take. One of the things that's happening is, this is not answering your question directly, but I'll come back around to it, is, Google has this project called Google Lens. And it's basically going to give you the ability to point your phone at a business. And if it can find that business and recognize that business online, it will present the reviews, and it will show you the reviews right there just by you holding your camera and pointing it at the business. So online reviews are really, really important. Now, having said that, my experience is that, most franchises and most national players, they really hamstring their local service providers because they do not allow them to create an effective local presence. And by local presence, you should have your own website. It should be optimized for the services and the locations that you do business with and that you support, in those communities and those different suburban areas and things like that. Most of these large providers, that operate on a franchise model, they don't let their local business create a local presence. And so building a website, optimizing that website for local search phrases. So don't just optimize for generic phrase like senior healthcare or assisted living, or things like that. Optimize it around the local phrases plus the geography that you're serving. Then build an online presence, that includes getting in these local directory listing services, like I mentioned, City Search, local.com. There are literally hundreds of these different sites, most of which you'll never hear of or even have a chance to come across. But what they do is they send signals, especially when and this is a really important point, it's called name, address, phone number. When your name, address, and phone number are exactly the same, and I mean exactly the same, on multiple of these different directory sites that are out there, those all send signals to Google and Bing and the other search engines. This is the correct, up-to-date, accurate information about your business. So if you have multiple phone numbers, you need to pick one that's your primary phone number. It needs to be on your website. It needs to be in these directory systems. It better be on your Google My Business page exactly the same way. If you've moved recently and you used to work down the street or across town, but your physical address has changed, you're probably going to have problems with some of these directories and the way you're listed. So going in and cleaning up the way your business is listed, is a really important thing, because even an abbreviation of how you might spell street or suite, like if you're in an office suite, if you abbreviate it on one site and you spell it out on the other site, that's enough to create some confusion, and all of that confusion and all of that bad and inconsistent data hurts your rankings in search. And so when you go in and you clean all this up, you're sending a signal to Google and Bing, but Google is really the king, that you're paying attention to the way your business is listed online. You're updating it, and you're making sure that it's accurate. So those things right there are huge. Your Google My Business page and these other directories, building a strong online reputation, and then having a website that you can actually truly optimize for local search. A lot of these franchise providers and big corporate providers that have maybe a presence in a local market what they do is they'll give their franchisee a single page, and they don't give them very much editorial control over what they can really do from a search engine optimization. So I'm very confident that most of your independent and smaller players in any market have a great opportunity to outperform these big national companies if they take control of their own local search.
Okay. So what about name changes? Every now and then we may have, this is the ABC assisted living community, and then they go through an ownership or management change, and then they become the XYZ company. So when we talk about all these components for the local search optimization, how difficult is that to make that transition to get the new company name and face associated with the address and kind of get up to speed on that? Because I have had that happen before where a business has changed hands, and I'm out looking for Joe's Hamburger Shack, and it's Manny's Hamburger Shack, but on Google it's still with the old listing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there are a couple of different ways that you can handle that. I'm a really big fan of using a management tool that will allow you to manage and control and update everything from a single console, a single website, including locking down the name, address, phone number records, and actually scanning and removing duplicate listings that that might be confusing to the consumer. So you can go that route. It's obviously a more expensive route, but it gives you the ability to actively manage and control and update content and push it out to multiple sites all at once from a single site. So it could be a real effective powerhouse for you locally. But you can also go through a manual review process and find, there are tools that are out there. As a matter of fact, there's a tool in the footer of my website that you can run a free business listing scan, and it'll go out there and scan 70 different websites and show you how your business is listed there, or whether your business is even listed there. And so you can go through that, and then once you identify those sites, you can literally go in and manually claim them and update them. It's a labor-intensive, time-consuming process, but you can do it that way. If your only capital that you have to spend is somebody's time, then that may be the reality of what you have to do. But if you can afford to spend a little bit of money, using a tool and having a system in place to take care of that's a great way to go. The last way that you could do this is, through doing what I would call some kind of a citation blast strategy, where you could go use a tool like BrightLocal or Moz.com, and they give you the ability to create a record of your business with the accurate information, and then it will do a one-time push out there to these different directory listings. The downside of that is if you have changed your name or you've changed your physical street address, there's a chance that data will be overwritten by the algorithms over a period of time, because you're not going to be able to find and remove all of the bad data. But there are pros and cons, and we try to help everybody understand if they can get away with a cheaper solution versus if they've got a situation where they really need to have a full-time, regular, managed directory system in place.
Okay, great. That sounds like great advice. Well, Ken, we're going to wrap it up for today. I do appreciate your time very much, and like I said, there's so many topics that I think we could cover. I would like to invite you back for a future show to cover a few more of these, like the marketing strategy, lead generation, things like that. But before we go, do you have any, SEO or marketing related books that you would like to recommend that you've read lately?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Duct Tape Marketing, which is it's a book that was written several years ago, but it's still it's great for a business to help understand what they need to do to put a small business marketing strategy in place. The most recent book that I've read that just is has a wow factor to me, so much so that I went and got certified to be able to consult using their methodology is a book called StoryBrand. It's basically about, it's using storytelling, but it turns storytelling on its head a little bit from the traditional way that marketers tend to talk about it. Most marketers talk about story in terms of the brand being the hero. StoryBrand focuses on the customer being the hero, and the brand is the guide that has a plan that helps them achieve the outcome that they want to desire. And so story is really powerful because it's the way humans have communicated for, thousands and thousands of years. And so when you can do that, you can really clarify your marketing messages when you look at it from a storytelling perspective. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at that book. It's really easy to read. It's a fast read, and it's really powerful.
Okay, great. Thanks. I will reach out and pick that one up myself. So if somebody wanted to reach out and get a hold of you, what are some of the best methods to contact you and learn more about you and your services?
Yeah, so we actually have 3 different websites. We have stlouisseoforgrowth.com. That's stlouis.seoforgrowth.com. We have coloradosprings.seoforgrowth.com. And we have changescapeweb.com. Changescapeweb is our main company website. From there, you can find our contact information. You can find us on most social media at using the handle @Changescape. And then I've written a couple of books, one on reputation management and one on social media marketing for restaurants, which has a lot of information that I think is highly relevant for really any brick and mortar type of business. You can find those on Amazon. If you just do a search for me as an author, you'll find those 2 books there. And then, the last thing I would say is if anybody wants to learn more about reputation management, I've got an online webinar that people can watch at their convenience. And I also mentioned this free business listing scan tool. If you go to my website, changescapeweb.com, and you go down to the footer, there's going to be a column that you'll see in the footer called Free Stuff. And there are links there that you can sign up to watch the online reputation management webinar or, run that business listing scan to see if your business has any bad data out there that you need to get cleaned up.
Okay, great. Thanks for all the great information, and I'll be sure and include all of that in the show notes as well. So, Ken.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, Ken, again, thank you so much for your time and all the great information. I look forward to speaking with you again in the near future.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time, Roy. I really enjoyed it.
You bet.
All right.
All right. All right. Yeah. Until next time, we'll have a good afternoon. Thanks.